Hello everyone, my name is ZCRGator and welcome back to Tier List Tuesday. Today's tier list is all about legendary Pokemon. These are the Pokemon that you see on the box cover. They are the absolute best of the best, some of the cleanest designs in the entire franchise. And I thought, you know what, someday I would love to rank them in a tier list, and that day is today. So, today we will be ranking not only legendary Pokemon, but mythical Pokemon as well, because the tier list I found included basically every legendary / mythical, and I didn't feel like creating my own tier list that only included legendaries, so mythicals are along for the ride. With that being said, this will be a pretty long episode, so strap in, and if you end up enjoying today's video, please feel free to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, it really helps the boy out, and comment down below who is your favorite legendary Pokemon, and why not? Who is also your least favorite legendary Pokemon, and why? I would love to know. With that being said, let's get started, and we are going to change the music up real quick because I wanna get some legendary Pokemon themes playing. And we're starting off with the legendary bird trio with Articuno, the ice flying type. Articuno is probably my favorite of the bunch. I grew up really liking Zapdos, but as I got older, the blue, the design, the cool sleekness of Articuno really started speaking to me. I really like ice types. I didn't really like them as much growing up. I like them a lot more now. It's one of my favorite typings in the game. And Articuno all around is just pretty solid. It's a good, specially defensive Pokemon. Sure, a rock type absolutely annihilates it, but I think it's pretty solid. Up next, the Galarian form of Articuno, and unfortunately I don't have much experience with the Galarian form of Articuno because I bought the Isle of Armor and Frozen Tundra DLC and I never really completed it, and I never got to the point of catching these dudes. So I'm kind of doing this one based off of design and design alone and bits and pieces that I've seen from other people playing the DLC and all that. The Galarian form, I didn't really do it for me. It's kind of mid for me right now. It might go down. I might put it down a peg. We'll see how this list shapes up. But right now, I'm going to put it in my C tier, my mid tier. And by the way, I should explain the tiers real quick. Our very tip top, the best of the best tier, the undisputed GOAT. This will be where I rank only one and one legendary alone. That is my favorite legendary in the entire franchise. The tier below it, the GOATs, that is my S tier. These are the absolute best of the best. Not quite my favorite, but they are basically top 5. But they're not number 1, you know? Up next, we have the A tier, the amazing tier. They're not quite GOATs, but they are absolutely awesome, and I love them. The B tier, the very pretty solid tier. They're above average. C tier, absolutely mid. You're mediocre at best. D tier, below average. You're not really the best, buddy. I'm sorry. And then our absolute worst tier, our F tier. I do not want anything to do with you. Sorry, I'm banishing you to the F tier. With that being said, let's continue on with Zapdos. I'm a big fan of Zapdos. Growing up, Zapdos was always my favorite of the bunch because I was always a big electric type guy. As I got older, I started liking Articuno a little bit more. But with that being said, I see Zapdos and Articuno almost an even plane. As for the Galarian form, I've never really messed with him. I think he's ground electric. I really find his design funny, so I think I would rank him higher than Zapdos. So I'm going to put him a little bit higher than Zapdos. And then we'll move on to Moltres, the flaming bird, the phoenix itself, and Moltres is alright. I mean, it's okay. It's not really my favorite, and I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel a little bad, but I'm gonna put it in my below average tier because Moltres just never really did it for me. I feel like a Phoenix Pokemon is something that I thought would be way cooler, and then Moltres it's all right. Like it's okay. We ended up getting a much better Firebird later that we'll talk about in a short little bit, but Moltres is fine. Anytime I've ever used one, though, I always feel like I get absolutely destroyed. So that's why I'm putting it down here. As for the Galarian form, though, the Galarian form of Moltres, I think, is super cool. I'm a big fan of the design, and I think I'm gonna rank it pretty high. It is what? I think it's a dark flying type. I think it's super sick. I just love the color and the variation of it. I want to say it's specially defensive. I think it's specially defensive. With that being said, I'm going to put it in my A tier. This design alone, I think, absolutely carries this thing. So I'm gonna put it there. So with that being said, we'll move on to quite possibly the most well-known, well-recognized legendary Pokemon in the entire franchise, Mewtwo. I think Mewtwo is sick. It's got one of the cleanest designs in all of Pokemon. It's got what? Super good special attack. It is very fast. It inspired a generation of players. It is probably a top 10 legendary, like favorite legendary for a lot, and I mean a lot of people. For me, I don't know if it quite cracks my top 10, and that's why I'm gonna put him in my top of my A tier currently. We might see if he moves up to the GOAT tier. The GOAT tier will probably be like my top 5, top 10 favorites, depending on how this list ends up shaking out. But for now, he'll go at the very top of my A tier. I'm a big fan. He reminds me of Lord Frieza from Dragon Ball, and if you remind me of Lord Frieza from Dragon Ball, you're pretty dang cool. Mewtwo, you could run a lot of cool sets with him. I like the moves and the variations. He's fun to use. I enjoyed using Mewtwo in any game I ever played with him in. So yeah, I'm going to put him at the top of my A tier. As for his forms, we will also be ranking different forms legendary Pokemon could have. So Megas, or I guess really only Mega Evolutions and Primal De-Evolution? I don't know how that works. Primal Reversions, I should say. We'll rank all those. As for Mewtwo, Mega Mewtwo X he's pretty cool design. He's pretty slick. I think he's fighting type, if I remember correctly. You could hit people with a nice Aura Sphere. That man has an absolutely devastating attack stat, if I remember correctly. He's like 180, 190. He still has the same speed as Mewtwo. And yeah, he's very solid. Cool design. I'm going to put him in my B tier. Up next, we have Mega Mewtwo Y. If I remember correctly, this is only a Psychic type, but its special attack is through the roof. It's like the opposite of Mewtwo X, whereas Mega Mewtwo X is obviously very offensively. This one is very special attacky, I should say. So, I think it's a tad bit faster. Either way, its design is pretty cool. I don't like it quite as much as Mega Mewtwo X, but I still like it I like it more than the birds, I should say. So, it's still pretty solid. It's just a solid B tier for me. Up next, we have Mew, and Mew goes to the very top of my A tier. It's not quite Mewtwo level, but I really like Mew. Mew is a very fun Pokemon. Any movie Mew is in is an absolutely awesome movie, so I'm always down for that. With that being said, I'm just going to keep it at my A tier. I think Mew can learn almost every TM in the game, which is super cool. One of the better mythical Pokemon in the franchise. It's super adorable design. I love Mew. It is an A tier Pokemon. We might see about moving it up. We'll see how this list shakes up. I might even add tiers during the video. So I'm also probably gonna look up a couple of Pokemon here and there to just kind of look up stats and other things, just to have a little bit more to talk about, go a little bit more in depth. So with that being said, I think we shall move on to the Johto region, to the legendary dogs, and we're gonna start off with the electric type dog, Raikou. Growing up, Raikou was my favorite of the three. Like I said, I was a very big electric type fan. I really liked his cool saber-tooth design. I thought he was really cool. So I think I'm going to, where do I want to put Raikou? Hold up. Let me get Entei up right next to these guys. But Raikou I think he's going to be in my pretty solid tier, because I like him more. I like him more than Articuno, but he's not A tier material for me. He's very solid. He's a pretty solid Pokemon. I think he's fast, special attack natured. I just never really got to use him all that much, because in the generation that you use him, you have to, he's a roaming legendary, so you gotta go out there, you gotta go out of your way to go find that man. Sometimes he'll find you, but if you wanted to catch him, you almost always had to use a Master Ball, and that was a little bit annoying to me, but at the same time, I didn't mind it, because it's kind of a cool gimmick in a way. So he's gonna go on my B tier, whereas Entei, I'm gonna put Entei in my A tier for now. I'm a big Entei fan. Entei is super cool. I love the fact that he can get Sacred Fire. I will say he can't learn Earthquake, and I find that absolutely ludicrous. Why can this man not learn Earthquake? What are we doing? But that's okay, because he is still pretty offensively. He's good. I think his attack is better than his special attack, which is a little sad, because a lot of his moves are special attacking moves like Eruption and Lava Plume, which makes me a little sad, because he could be a lot cooler. But it's alright, because his design is super cool. He got his own movie. He's pretty cool in that regard. So he's one of my favorites. I guess I shouldn't say my favorite. I don't think he cracks my top 10, but he's still super cool, and I like Entei, so going to my A tier. Up next, we got Suicune. And Suicune, growing up, used to be my least favorite of the legendary dogs. It has since become my favorite of the legendary dogs. I really like Suicune. Suicune is so cool. Its design is so slick. I'm putting it at the very top of my A tier, because this dude is awesome, man. He's super good, especially defensive. It was just good defensively and specially defensive. If you use him ever in like competitive Pokemon, I find it really fun, because he can just outbulk people, and I kind of find that a little funny with him. I don't know why. I'm a big sucker for a little bit more defensively natured Pokemon. Growing up, I really liked the glass cannons, and I still do like the glass cannons, but I'm a big steel type of guy, so I like the defensive guys. And Suicune, although water type, super cool design. It is super special defensive. It can be an absolute wall, and it is hard to take down. I will say in the earlier gens, its moveset always was kind of a little trash, but you could teach it cool TMs. I like Suicune. I've always had fun using a Suicune, and you can't really go wrong with a water type. So Suicune's going at the top of my A tier for now. Up next, we have, I don't know if I should call it the Lord of the Sea, but basically we got one of the coolest Pokemon in the franchise. We have Lugia, the box cover legendary for Soul Silver and Pokemon Silver. Lugia, it is super cool. It is very defensive, very specially defensive. Lugia is one of the few Pokemon that I wish had like 3 typings, because I always think it's a water type in my head, but it's a flying psychic type. I wish it was a water type, because he lives underwater. This man rises out of the ocean and he flaps his wings. Boom, 40 days. 40 days and 40 nights of storms. This man can absolutely flood a region if he wanted to. Lugia is just sick. Lugia is just so cool. I think it's going in one of my top 10. I've never actually done an actual top 10 legendary list, so maybe we'll do that as a separate video at some point down the line, but I really like it. It's one of my goats. I'm a very big fan of Lugia. Lugia is so cool. Aeroblast is such a cool move. Its design is so sick. It is the Guardian of the Sea. Lugia is cool. Lugia is just cool. My bad, it wasn't even a 30-day storm. It was a 40-day storm. 10 more days. Lugia said, I got 10 more in me. Jeez, that is insane. But Lugia is cool. Lugia is super cool, super sick. It's going to my GOAT tier. Up next, we have the Guardian of the Sky, I'm going to assume, because if Lugia is the Guardian of the Sea, Ho-Oh is probably the Guardian of the Sky. Oh, this is tough, because I think I'm going to put, for now, both of them will go in my GOAT tier, because I'm also a really big fan of Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh is, in Omega Ruby, I ended up shiny hunting for a Ho-Oh, and I got it in about 500-ish encounters. Its shiny is so good. It is such a good shiny Pokemon, and he decided to reveal himself very early on for me, and I absolutely appreciate that from my man Ho-Oh. I always grew up liking Lugia more. As I grew up, I started enjoying Ho-Oh a lot more, and then I got the shiny Ho-Oh, and I was like, oh my god, this thing is so cool. Sacred Fire is such a cool move. Its design, the colors of Ho-Oh are just so aesthetically pleasing to me. I really like the chicken. I mean, this fire chicken, it's really cool, man. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the fire chicken, and I think it's because I got the shiny that I like it so much more. It's very special defensively bulky. I think its attack stat was better than its special attack, which is I'm not really the biggest fan of because it has a lot more special attacking moves than attacking moves, but I'm pretty sure Sacred Fire is an attacking move, which is kind of weird because, you know, he's just shooting fire out of his mouth, but whatever. Anyways, Ho-Oh, pretty sick. It's pretty sick. I'm going to put it in my GOAT tier for now. We might move it down later. Up next, we have the mythical Pokemon, the celery-looking thing coming out of the G-Ball, Celebi. It has its own movie, the Time Travel Pokemon. And this little piece of celery, it's alright. Like, unfortunately, it's kind of mid. It's kind of mid. I'm not like the biggest Celebi fan. If anything, I might actually move this Articuno down to below average, because I like Celebi more than the Articuno, but I'm not like the biggest Celebi person. But Celebi's alright, you know? It's okay. But I don't know, it's just the grass psychic typing just never really did it for me. So I'm just gonna keep it at mid, and I think I'm fine with that. Up next, we have quite possibly my favorite. I don't know, because I'm putting the dogs up pretty high, but this might be my favorite legendary trio of the entire franchise. The Reggies. I'm a big fan of the Reggies. I'm a real big fan of them, and this is my favorite Reggie probably of the entire group, Mr. Regirock. I've become a much bigger fan of Regirock a lot more recently because there's an account I follow called Regirock Talk, or Reggie whatever it is. It's basically a TikTok account that's just posts Regirock propaganda, and I find that absolutely hilarious. And therefore, Regirock is at the top of my A tier for now. I love Regirock. He is so cool. I also ended up catching a shiny Regirock in Omega Ruby. Funny enough, right after Ho-Oh. I love me some Regirock. It is such a clean design. Sure, the Reggies aren't really the greatest in, I guess I should say, usage or battle. The dogs definitely do a much better job than the Reggies, but they're so cool. I thought the way that you obtained the Reggies in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald was absolutely awesome. Sure, the normal kid would have never figured it out unless you were able to read Braille, which I purposely learned how to read Braille just so I could catch Regirock, Regice, and Registeel. So, yeah, I just found it really cool. I love the fact that you have to go to some weird remote area and dive down at like Route 133, Route 134 at this one specific dark patch of water, and then you go and you travel through this cave and you find just all these Braille. Basically, the first room is just the ABCs, but in Braille, and then the next room tells you the entire legend of the Reggies. You need to have a Wailord, I think, at the front of your party, and Relicanth at the back, or vice versa. You need someone with Dig, and I was just like, who in their right mind would go through all that? But at the same time, this is what inspired Playground Legends. Playground Rumors, I should say. That and Mew and the truck and all that, but I was too young for that. Regirock, though, I wasn't too young for the Regirock. I was around for the Regirock times, and this dude inspired a lot of rumors, and I just remember talking about him, being like, oh my god, these golems, oh my god, these guys are so cool, look at them, they must be really good. They're not really good, but I love them. I absolutely love them. Regirock is, I think, one of the highest defensive stats in the entire game. I think it's at like 200 if I remember correctly. This man is Bulk City. If you try to punch him, he will not budge. I'm putting him at the top of my A tier. I love me some Regirock. Up next, we got Regice, and I'm also a big fan of Regice. Regice is a lot more specially defensive. The ice typing is so cool. I love Regice. I think his design is real clean, real slick. I wish he could learn better moves, but that's okay. Regice has absolutely no attack, but that doesn't matter because he tries his hardest. If I remember correctly, he's supposed to be, I think he formed from like a glacier or something, and he's like negative 300 degrees Fahrenheit. This man is super cold. I like Regice. I think he's cool. He's going at the top of my B tier. I'm a big fan of Regice. Up next, we have the Iron Golem, the Steel Man himself, Registeel. Do not look up his Diamond and Pearl sprite. You will be disappointed in his political views. But regardless of that, thankfully they changed it in Platinum. I'm a big fan of the Registeel. Registeel, he used to be my favorite Reggie growing up. If it wasn't probably for the Regirock propaganda and finding a shiny Regirock that I named Dwayne, because you know he's a rock. If I didn't do all that, he'd probably still be my favorite. I'm still a big fan of Registeel. He's going all the way up here. He's not quite Mew level. He's not quite Mewtwo level. But I'm a big fan of Registeel. He's going up on my list. Up next, we have the Lottie twins. Latias and Latios. The Lottie twins were ones that I never really appreciated as much growing up. I was never their biggest fan because I guess he always got it in post game, so I never really used them. But then every like couple years ago, I ended up playing like a randomized Nuzlocke, and I caught a Latios in it, and I absolutely mopped the floor with people with it. And then Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire came out, and you could actually use them throughout the game. You know, you got them. Just after you beat your father, the 5th gym leader, you go past whatever, I don't remember what the route is to the right of Mauville City, but you cross the water, and then Steven's like, hey yo, I need some help, dog. And then you pull up, and it's either Latios for Omega Ruby, Latias for Alpha Sapphire, and then you can Mega Evolve them. I just think the Lottie twins are cool. I've actually never seen the movie with the Lottie twins in it. At some point, I will go watch that. But regardless, Latias, cool design. I appreciate it a lot more. I think it's especially defensive. I think it's very specially defensive. It's kind of bulky. It's pretty cool. I'm a fan. It's pretty solid. Like it's pretty solid. I like it more than the. Yeah, I think I like it more than that. I do think I might need to just make a. We might have to make another tier, but I don't know if I want to do that. I might just move a couple of down. I'm going to feel bad doing this, but I'm moving the Zapdoses down. I'm going to move them to mid for now because I'm really liking the Lottie twins and these guys a little bit more, if you know what I mean. And the Mega Evolution is pretty fine. It didn't really do much for me, and I'm going to do the same with Latios. They're just kind of mid designs for me. I think growing up, I thought they were a lot cooler. They're both like jets, but the fact that they didn't really change, I guess they wouldn't change because they're like twins, but like, I don't know, it's meh. It's just meh, that's how I could describe it. So, but yeah, I like the Lottie twins. They're pretty sick. Latios, he's pretty cool too. I like him a little bit more than I like Latias. If I remember correctly, I think he's a little bit more specially attacking. Or maybe he's better at defense. Maybe that's what it is. And no, he's a lot better at special attack. Never mind. Yeah, Latios, he's pretty cool. Honestly, both of them are really cool designs. They go well hand in hand together. But yeah, they're all right. Up next, some of the best legendaries in the entire franchise. We're talking Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza. We're going to start off with the fish. Now, some people would have you believe in this fish is the coolest of the three. It's the best one, and I disagree with that. It is, in my opinion, the worst of the bunch, the worst of the trio. I love Kyogre though. Kyogre's gonna go in my A tier. I'm a big Kyogre fan. Kyogre is awesome. It's just not as cool as the others, but Kyogre is really cool. I'm a big fan, and its primal reversion I thought is even cooler. I think the primal reversions are so cool designs, and I really love that they implemented that for Oras. I thought it was so sick when they implemented that, because ORS was one of the games that kind of brought me back into the franchise, and X and Y did as well. But I actually didn't know that they remade Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire until like 3 months after they came out, and I went, oh my god! I guess I should say Ruby and Sapphire. And I said, oh my god, these are a thing. They're out. So I got it for my birthday, and of course I got Ruby because this guy right here is an absolute GOAT. He is my second favorite legendary of all time. I'm a huge Groudon stan. But back to Kyogre real quick. I just had to rank him up there real quick. But back to Kyogre. Kyogre is he's really cool. I love hitting people with a water spout. The fact that you can just start a Drizzle and or the Primordial Sea, which is even cooler, it is dope. This man has such good special attack. He has really good type coverage, at least move wise. Water typing is always really good, but this man can learn Thunder, he can learn Ice Beam, he can learn Calm Mind. It could be super bulky. He's so cool. Plus, if you ever seen the Pokemon Generation series, when Archie awakens Kyogre, he obviously, Shelly was like, oh my god, we should have done that. That was really bad. He's way more powerful than we ever could have predicted. And then he gets a call, and he's like, oh my god, sir, this is way worse than we ever could have thought. It's downpour. It's so bad. And he's like, what? No. So Mr. Pirate Man, he goes out there, and he's like, Kyogre! He's like, bend to my command! And then Kyogre he sees him, and he's like, dude, nah, actually, I'm just gonna eat you, dog. And it cuts off right before he gets eaten. At least I presume he got eaten. I don't know what happened to him. But I thought that the fact he could fly, I didn't see that one coming. But the fact that he can fly is just woo. If you ever seen a shiny Primal Kyogre or a shiny Primal Groudon, my goodness, super clean designs. They are goats. Actually, I'm gonna put him in a goat tier. Yeah, I like him. I like both of them more than Lugia and Ho-Oh. But he's not on Groudon's level. I'm a big Groudon guy. Groudon is our main dude that we're talking about next. This is my second favorite legendary of all time. This dude is basically Godzilla, but he's so cool. He used to be the heaviest Pokemon in the entire franchise. His attack is through the roof. He can learn Solar Beam and hit you with one-turn Solar Beams. That is sick. This man does not back down from a challenge. Sure, Kyogre is out here better typing than Groudon is, and when they were beefing in the game, Kyogre's sitting on his tiny piece of land while Kyogre has this entire sea around him, and I absolutely appreciated Groudon. Because you know what he didn't do? He didn't back down. He said, I hate this fish so much that even on my tiny piece of land, I am still better than you, and I will prove it in battle. And of course, these two absolutely ancient legendary beasts duke it out. And my boy Groudon wins that battle 10 times out of 10 because he's so much better. Oh, Primal Groudon absolutely even the playing field with, what is it, Primordial Sun, I think is the ability. Desolate Land is the ability name. It is so cool. He is just, the fact that he finally turns into a fire type. I always thought he was a fire type. This man is sitting in a volcano when you pull up on him. Oh, he's sick. He's sick. Both of these guys, Groudon, Kyogre, Rayquaza, have, I think, quite possibly the best legendary theme in the entire franchise. Music, I think, always played a bit of a part into if I like a legendary Pokemon or not. And these guys have such a cool, they got such a cool legendary theme. And I love Groudon. Groudon is he's so cool. I celebrate Groudon Wednesdays. This man is an absolute GOAT in my eyes. Up next, the leader of the trio, the Sky Pokemon, the Lord of the Sky himself, the man who came down from the heavens above to stop Groudon and Kyogre from beefing. Rayquaza, Mr. Ray himself, one of the cleanest, and I mean one of the best designs in all of Pokemon. He goes right up in that GOAT conversation. He is a GOAT himself. He's wonderful. He is so cool. Mega Rayquaza is super sick too. I'm a big fan of Mega Rayquaza. I'm a big fan of Rayquaza. He's probably like my fourth favorite legendary of all time. Rayquaza is so cool. He's just unbelievably cool. I mean, his design is slick. In the Destiny Deoxys movie, this man was going haywire. He said, "Hey, Deoxys, you're an alien threat. Get out of here." Which I mean, that wasn't really the coolest thing of Rayquaza. He probably should have been a lot nicer to Deoxys, because Deoxys he's a cool dude. Come on. But Rayquaza has absolutely absurd attack, absurd special attack, and then when you Mega Evolve him, it's unfair. He's absolutely unfair. He has one of the best stat lines in the entire franchise, and not to mention, like, his stat line's better than Lord Arceus himself, God. But not to mention, you can put items on him. All you have to do is pray. All you have to do is hit one like, "Oh, please, Ray, could you please Mega Evolve?" And he's like, "All right, I got you." And then he evolves into an absolute monster. And you're like, "Hey, you want a Life Orb? Oh, I could do more damage. I can learn Dragon Ascent," or whatever the name is, whatever the move is called, that is just absolutely broken. Oh, he's so cool. And you got Delta Stream that you can activate that I think lessens the damage of super effective moves. Goodness night, this dude is an absolute monster. Plus, in the Delta episode, if you've never played it, go play it. But this dude, what is he? Straight up takes out a meteor. You ride on his back and you take out a meteor, which ends up being Deoxys. Oh, Rayquaza he's awesome. He is awesome. I'm a big Rayquaza fan. He is so cool. Dragon Flying is kind of a basic typing for Dragon Pokemon. Doesn't matter. He does it for me. This man does it for me. Rayquaza is perfection, and I can understand why he's one of the most well-liked Pokemon in the entire franchise. Just period. Like, I think a couple years back, he was voted top 3 favorite Pokemon ever. So yeah, I get it. This man is sick. Not my favorite legendary, but he's a lot of people's favorite legendaries, and well earned. He's one of the coolest designed Pokemon in the entire franchise. Pokemon Emerald, great game. Love me some Rayquaza. Up next, we have Jirachi, the Serene Grace Wishmaster themselves. Jirachi that's pretty cool. I'm a big Jirachi fan. I like me some Jirachi. I honestly, I have a mythical video that came out like a month ago. They're gonna change. I don't remember what I ranked where, and it's been like a month and a half since I've made that video. I'm gonna put it in the A tier. It's right below Mew for me. I'm a big Jirachi fan. I've seen the 6th movie. The 6th movie is sick. Jirachi's out here making wishes every 1,000 years. It's got some crazy power. It's a steel type. Love me some steel types. Doom Desire, I thought, was the coolest name for a move ever. Are you kidding me? Doom Desire? Now, it's not as cool as I always thought it was going to be anytime I ever used it, because it's like a multi-turn move. But it's still called Doom Desire. That is... Oh! Doom Desire? That is the coolest name for a move, except there is another Pokemon that has an even cooler name for a move that we'll talk about in a little bit. But Jirachi, it's a very solid A tier. It's a mythical Pokemon. It's got the base 100 stat line on every single stat. It's sick. I like me some Jirachi. Up next are other mythical Pokemon of the Hoenn region in its various forms. The DNA Pokemon, the alien itself, Deoxys. And Deoxys he's cool. I'm a big Deoxys guy. Deoxys gets to go right behind Ray. I'm just gonna put all the form. Well, the speed form. I'm gonna knock down. You're okay. The defense form is pretty solid looking, but attack form and its normal form. Attack form is my favorite form. It is so cool. I mean, it is so cool. Actually, I actually do like the defense form a good bit. I'm a big Deoxys person. Deoxys is just so cool. The speed form's alright. Speed form I'll put right in front of the Mewtwo's. Deoxys is so cool. And the Destiny Deoxys movie is sick. Deoxys itself is just such a clean design. The fact that it has 4 forms I thought was always super cool. And in the movie, and I think in the anime, it just changes form at whenever it wants to, which I wish you could do in the game. I mean, it'd be broken, and I understand why you can't. But oh my god, are you kidding me? You know how cool that would be? Oh! Yeah, I mean, its attack form is the definition of a glass cannon, because it has 20 defense, 20 special defense, but its attack is 180, same with his special attack. Oh, he's just so cool. I think he learns the move Psycho Cut, which I always thought was a really clean move. He learns Psycho Boost. That's Never mind, I don't think he learned Psycho Cut, but Psycho Boost is an insane move. He's just cool. He's cool. Everything about him is cool. I'm a massive Deoxys fan. I know he's technically not a legendary Pokemon, but because we're ranking the Mythicals with him, he gets to go right behind Rayquaza. He might be, I don't know if he's my 5th favorite, but he might be. He might be. So, with that being said, we shall move on to the region I grew up on. The very first Pokemon game I ever played is Pokemon Diamond. And, well, we're encountering the Lake Trio, the Lake Guardians. We'll start off with Uxie. Uxie is alright. I hate to say it, I kind of feel bad, because this is the very first trio I ever interacted with. They're just not my favorite. They're just not my favorite. They're not, I don't think they're the worst, but they're like every single one of them, except for Azelf. Azelf's kind of mid. Well, I like Azelf. Azelf's pretty solid. But Mesprit and Uxie, I'm just not a fan of, you know? I mean, it's kind of cool. This is the Wisdom Pokemon. He sits in his own little lake. Brock was the one that got to interact with it in the anime. And I was like, that's pretty cool. This guy's, he's defensive. He's specially defensive. He's alright, you know? Like, he's just, I shouldn't even say alright. He's kind of below average for me, at least to compare to the other legendaries. Like, just not feeling it. And then same with Mesprit. Mesprit annoyed me. Like, I've always had a little bit of a grudge against Mesprit, because you had to go chase that man. And I could not get Mesprit for the life of me. It was just too elusive. Mesprit was too elusive, and I just didn't want to deal with it. It wasn't worth it in my mind. So I'm just gonna put it below average. Whereas Azelf, I think the reason why I liked Azelf is because he's blue, and Azelf also blows up. It knows the move Explosion, and in my mind, that is funny. And plus, he's all about willpower. I'm about willpower too, you know? He's also the attacking one. He's cooler. He's just cooler. I don't make the rules. He's just cooler than the other two, but is he mid? Is he mid? Because, like, I mean, I think I'd take a Zapdos. Honestly, I'd take the Lotties over anyone in this group, but, like, I'd take Zapdos over Azelf, but I'd take Azelf over a Celebi. With that being said, we are moving on to the greatest legendary in the entire franchise. The best legendary Pokemon, and the reason why I got into Pokemon in the first place. I saw the box cover of Pokemon Diamond, and I saw this absolutely magnificent, majestic, timeless being, and I said, yep, I have to play this game. I don't care what it is, I have to play it. Dialga, the Lord of Time, Prime Time themselves. It is just, oh my goodness. Dialga is the greatest Pokemon. Like, he's my second favorite Pokemon of all time. Like, that is my second favorite. This is my guy. I always named him Prime Time. He's a Steel type, which makes it even cooler. That blue, that slick blue color is just always magnificent. Special attack is through the roof. Good defense, good attack, good special defense. Plus, he only has, 2 weaknesses? Fighting and ground? That's it. That's it. He resists so many different typings. There's maybe 5 types in the entire game that he doesn't resist, that are just neutral. 2 of them that are super effective. So that's 7 out of 19, 20? And then poison doesn't even touch him. You can't touch him with poison. I guess he doesn't get poisoned. Yeah, he doesn't get poisoned. Plus, he has the coolest move in the entire game. Roar Time. Are you kidding me? This man literally roars, and he just sends you through different pockets of time. It's such a cool looking move in the anime. I love the movie with him and Palkia just absolutely beefing, and then, Giratina was kind of a jerk trying to drag him down into the distortion world or whatever in the Sky Warrior movie. But he's just so cool. Everything about him is so cool. I loved using Dialga so much in Pokemon Diamond. It's the first Pokemon I have ever gotten to the level 100. Oh, I cannot say enough good things about him. And then there's Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. I played Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Darkness when I was 7. And I've actually haven't ever really seen anything else for Mystery Dungeon since I have beaten the game. I have no idea how I beat it as a 7-year-old, but I did. It is like the only, oh my goodness, the ending to that game just had me absolutely weeping. Again, I was 7, but good lord, like, I haven't seen much from it. I don't even know if I've ever seen the scene ever again, but just the music. Like, I have the music playing right now from the game. It is just utterly perfection. I feel like I can remember it clear as day. The fight with Dialga was an absolute pain, though. I was a Turtwig and my buddy was a Totodile. We were not ready. I tell you, we were not ready. We were not ready for that. We were not the guys. We were not the guys to go fight Primal Dialga, which, by the way, was super cool design. That man, I feel so bad for him, though. I found out a lot later that Primal Dialga was basically having like a heart attack throughout the entire game. He's basically stopping time as we all, like, stopping existence as we know it, basically. The game's super cool. I remember it being absolutely awesome. Dialga just made that even cooler as like the final boss. He wasn't the final boss, if I remember correctly, post-game and yada yada, but I don't remember too much from the post-game. I think Darkrai was the final boss, but don't quote me on that. I don't remember too much, but I just remember Dialga being absolutely cool. I'm a huge fan of Dialga. It's just, I can't say enough good things about it. With that being said, we have to move on to the form that it gained in Legends Arceus, its origin form. And when I originally laid eyes on this thing, I said, man, this isn't as cool as Primal Groudon or Primal Kyogre. And I was like, man, this just isn't, I don't know if it does it for me, you know? And as the years have gone on, it has been 2 years since Legends Arceus came out. I believe 2 years, like a week ago. I'm filming this on the 3rd of February. I'm pretty sure a week ago marks the 2-year anniversary of this game coming out. Which, by the way, I absolutely love Legends Arceus. Such an amazing game. It's grown on me. I've seen this thing in a couple of Pokemon cards, and I said, you know what? I kind of like them a little bit more. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I like Primal Dialga a lot more than I thought I would. It's not a GOAT for me. Like, it's not my favorite form. I'd much rather prefer it in its normal form. But it's not that bad. It's not as bad as I originally thought it was. I didn't give it enough credit. And to be honest, I mean, I'm gonna put him right above Kyogre. It's probably personal bias because I love Dialga so much, but it's just I can't put him ahead of Deoxys because Deoxys is so cool. But like Primal Dialga, it's all right. It is all right. Up next, we have the counterpart to Dialga, the Lord of Time. I guess I should say the God of Time, the God of Space. Not the God of Time, the God of Space. Apologies. The God of Space, Palkia. Palkia is super cool. Palkia is really cool. I like Palkia more than I like Lugia or Ho-Oh. I'm actually going to bump these two down to the A tier for now. Palkia is really cool. It's just, the legendaries of Gen 3 and Gen 4 are both just awesome. Like, they're all awesome. I'd take a Palkia over a Kyogre too. I'd take Palkia over the origin form of Dialga. Spatial Ren is such a cool move. I love the sprites from Gen 4, from Diamond and Pearl and Platinum, and I also love it in Gen 5. 3D didn't really do this man as much justice as it probably could have. I thought he looked kind of clean in Legends Arceus, but still, there's just something missing in the 3D sprites, but that's okay, because the 2D animations, the 2D sprites are just so sick. Palkia is really clean. Palkia is, I think he's 10 points faster than Dialga, if I remember correctly, because anytime I ever battled my brother, because he got Pearl, I got Diamond, I'd use my Dialga, and I get my butt whooped, because Palkia hit me with a Spatial Ren, and I wasn't smart enough to figure out a way how to counter it. But, yeah, Palkia's got some real good special attack. You get hit by a crit Spatial Ren, uh-oh! But if you don't, hitting that Roar of Time back, woof! But Palkia is super cool. I'm a big fan of Palkia. Origin form Palkia, on the other hand, oh my goodness, I was taken aback by this thing. This thing, it's weird. It has grown on me, but not as much as Dialga. Like, this thing, it originally would have been in the F tier for me. Like, I thought they ruined Palkia, but it's not there anymore for me. It's gonna go right behind the Lottie twins. No, it's not. No, it's not. Oh, this might be one that I just need to have it grow on me more, actually. I'm not a big fan of it. I really am not a big fan of this horse-looking dude, man. I understand what the form, like, someone broke it down, and, like, I think if you take the origin forms of Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina, you can get, like, it creates Arceus's body or something. Some wacky thing like that. Look, it could have been, like, way cooler. It could have, you know what? I'm just going to put him in the absolute worst. He's one of my least favorites. Like, come on. It could have been so much cooler. He's growing on me. But, like, it's just about principle, you know? It's about principle. Like, they took something that could have been an even cooler, and they made him not that cool. Like, they reverted him back. Like, they reverted him in a bad way, and it could have been so much better. He's the god of space. That man can create distortions everywhere. How could you do this to Palkia? With that being said, we should move on. We're gonna move on to Heatran. I'm a big fan of Heatran. I think one of the most underrated legendaries in the entire franchise. He's a very, very solid, and if not solid, amazing. Because I'm gonna put him right. Ooh, we'll put him right in between Mew and Mewtwo. No, I'm putting him right behind you. Yeah, I'm gonna bump Entei down real quick. I'm also going to bump down Galarian Moltres, because even though the design itself is so clean, it's starting to grow, and I'm starting to, you know, as we start to sort things out, I think it's easier for me to bump things down or bump things up if I really want to. But back to Heatran, I love the typing of Fire and Steel. Again, super big Steel type guy. I just love the design. He's just so clean. Plus, he learns the move Magma Storm, which I thought was one of the coolest moves ever. Sure, it has like 50 accuracy, but if you hit it, it is so clean. I think he has the Flash Fire ability, where he just anytime you switch him in on a Fire type move, that man is eating it up and regaining some health. He learns Heat Wave, Stone Edge. He's cool. He's cool. Iron Head. He's such a cool design, and I always love using Heatran. In fact, you find him in a little volcano, I thought was pretty sick. Big Heatran guy. Up next, we have Regigigas. Oh, he would have been my favorite. He would have been my favorite Reggie of all time if he just didn't have such a terrible ability. His ability is so bad because his design is so cool. His attack is just through the roof. I understand that. And I guess they tried to nerf the man. But, like, come on. He's just so cool. His design is so cool. His design alone I want to put in that A tier. I want to put him ahead of Kyogre. I want to put him ahead of Palkia. Just from the design alone. But I can't. Because that ability has absolutely destroyed my mans. And he's mid. He's mid. He is the definition of mid. I'll put him at the top of mid, but he is so mid because that ability. Just that ability ruined everything about him. He's not that fun to use. He's just, he could have been so much cooler. Now, you could Dynamax him, and that's really cool. I never did that, though, so... But still, like, it could have been... There was so much untapped potential with him. Like, why did they have to do that to my guy? He never even got to realize his full strength. Like, come on, what are we doing, Game Freak? That's just not cool. That's just not cool. But that's okay, because you know what Game Freak did, though. However, you know what they did really well with? They did extremely well with our next Pokemon, the Lord of the Distortion World. Basically, what many refer to as the equivalent of Satan in the Pokemon universe. The devil itself, the Dragon Ghost type, and I guess the third in the trio of Palkia and Dialga, the renegade Pokemon, the one that was banished to its own dimension because he was just a little too rude. Giratina, oh my goodness, Giratina is amazing. I love Giratina so much. When I was playing Pokemon Diamond for the first time, and I remember, because you know, as a kid, you get post game, you just keep playing, you do whatever you want, and I was just traveling around the region, just minding my own business, and I pulled up on the route right underneath Veilstone, which I don't remember what the route was, like 208, 209. I pulled up on that route and I found, whoa, what is this? I've never seen these trees just gone. What happened? So I go down the path, and all of a sudden you're at this area which I don't remember the name of, but you're at this area and it's all foggy. And there's a little cave opening that you can go into, and I was like, no way, what is all of this? Huh? Let me check that out. And I said, you know what? This place is kinda creepy. I don't know if I like being here. And then eventually you go further into the cave. Turnback Cave. Turnback Cave is what it's called. You go further into Turnback Cave, and it just every door you go through is just a little different than the last. Sometimes it sends you back to the same room. Sometimes there's just all these rocks blocking your way, all this and this just messing with you. Until eventually you finally walk through a room, and here's this just absolutely menacing looking creature that is just towering above you, and you're like, what is that thing? Do I even want to mess with you? Of course, you press the A button and it hits you with that cry that I don't know how to replicate it. Beta. It just, whoa. Then you see it. Then you see the design. It is clean. It is slick. Giratina, one of those. 7-year-old me was scared to death running into that dude. But also, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I thought I found something like no one else in the game had ever found. The fact that this thing just appeared here, what is this thing? And then, of course, Pokemon Platinum comes out. And somehow they took something that was already so cool, and they made him even cooler with his very own origin form. This origin form is one of the greatest designs in all of Pokemon. The way he appears, Cyrus is up top spear pillar, he's got Dialga, he's got Palkia chained with the red chain, he's about to create his new universe. And then you hear the music, the wow. You see his little drop into these shadows, and his eyes poke out. This big menacing thing comes out of it, and just whoop, all of a sudden you're in the distortion world. And the distortion world, I thought growing up, was cool. Thought it was one of the coolest things ever. A lot of people are annoyed by it because you're like, oh, it's so annoying to navigate through, but that's the point of the distortion world. That's what makes it so cool, is that it's annoying to go through. Everything about Giratina is absolutely sick. The ghost and dragon type, this man is an absolute wall. He has HP for days. Defense and special offense is really solid. He can hit hard. Shadow Force, I thought, was one of the coolest moves ever. Multi-turn move, but he just disappears and then bam! The Greasiest Orb, I thought, was a sick-looking orb. Adamant Orb is the best orb of them all, I gotta say. Lustrous Orb is really cool-looking too, but the Greasiest Orb, super clean design. Just everything about Giratina. He's cool. He's supposed to be the devil. He's like this worm thing, banished to the distortion world by God himself, by God themselves. He's so clean. He's just so clean. And his shiny is so good. Oh, his shiny is so cool. Everything about Giratina is just amazing. Giratina is one of the best legendary Pokemon of all time. My third favorite legendary Pokemon ever. Giratina is wonderful. It is wonderful. With that being said, we should move on, and we are going to move on to Cresselia. I guess the moon Pokemon? Is that what you call Cresselia? The moon Pokemon? The moonlight Pokemon? Something like that? Psychic type, it's cool. It's like a duck looking thing that levitates. The lunar Pokemon, I should say. You need a lunar wing, and it beats with Darkrai, and it'll awaken you from nightmares. It was alright. It kind of annoyed me like Mesprit did, but it's cooler than Mesprit, you know? It's a lot cooler than Mesprit, I should say. It's pretty special defensively. It's got a super clean shiny. I'm just going to put you with the pretty solid tier for now. You might get bumped down to mid, but it's pretty solid. I haven't really used too much of Cresselia, but I like Cresselia. Cresselia's pretty clean design. Up next, we're going to Fione. Quite possibly the worst mythical Pokemon of all time. Get this thing out of here. It is just it's basically water type Glalie, which technically would probably be better than Glalie because, you know, water is probably a better typing than ice. I just don't like Fione. Like, no offense to Fione, why do you exist, big dog? Like, what is your point? Because Manaphy is way cooler. Manaphy is a lot cooler than you, and that's what we're going to talk about next. We're going to talk about the King or the Prince of the Sea, whatever Manaphy is called. Again, it's a mythical Pokemon. It's got base 100 stat line, and every stat. Tail Glow, super cool move. It had its own cool movie. I liked the movie, although Manaphy kind of annoyed me a little bit in the movie. That being said, it's pretty solid. It is pretty solid. I enjoy Manaphy more than... I'm going to put you right next to Regice. It feels like a good little spot for you, buddy. Yeah, I'm a big Manaphy fan. It's pretty cool. Alright, yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say about Manaphy. It's alright. Like, you know, I got a different video talking about it a lot more in depth, so... Up next, another mythical Pokemon. A lot of mythicals in this generation. The Lord of the Dark, Darkrai. Darkrai's got one of the cleanest designs in all of Pokemon. Gen 4 was absolutely cooking with their designs. I gotta say, the Pitch Black Nightmare Pokemon itself, it puts you to sleep, it gives you bad dreams. Some people think it's evil, but I don't know if it's really all that evil. I think he's just misunderstood. With that being said, Darkrai is such a cool Pokemon. Darkrai is just, it's a GOAT. It is a GOAT. It's not, I don't like it more than I like Kyogre. Honestly, is it a GOAT? Because I like Lugia more. Ho-Oh gets to be, I'm going to put it in the GOAT tier for now. I'm going to put Lugia back up in the GOAT tier though. But, that feels like too many GOATs though. You know, that like it should be reserved for the best of the best. Oh, it should be reserved for a bit. Let's count, because... Technically speaking, the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... Look at this. The first 6 of them are only 3 Pokemon. The first 8 of them are only 4 Pokemon, technically speaking. You know? And I mean, what? There's only technically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. I think we can add one more to the GOAT tier, and then we'll have to cap it there. Oh, we can't add one more to the GOAT tier. We're going to have to sorry, Darkrai, you're going to get bumped down, pal. I think you're going to get bumped down too, Lugia. But Darkrai is amazing. I love Darkrai. Such a cool design. His special defense is really, or special attack is really good. Speed, he's a very speedy guy. If I remember correctly, this man was evil in Mystery Dungeon. So, how dare you be evil, sir? But also, he has such a cool move with Dark Void. And they did nerf it, which they probably should have. But still... Darkrai, clean Pokemon. Up next, we have Shaman. And Shaman's alright. Both forms for me are kind of just... Sky form will go in pretty solid. It's pretty solid, but like the normal form is actually below average for me. I'm not the biggest fan of its normal form. Sky form is kind of cool. I'm a big fan. Actually, kind of mid. It's kind of mid. It's kind of cool. It's kind of mid. It's kind of cool. It'll go in the pretty solid for now, but... yeah, it'll go in the pretty solid. I almost need like more tiers, but I don't want to put more tiers right now. I'm kind of fine with what they are, but we'll keep it that way. We'll definitely revisit this. We'll definitely revisit this video way down in the future and actually create way more tiers than this. But for now, I'm just gonna keep it this way because we got to talk about the god themselves, the god of the Pokemon universe. Arceus. And Arceus to me was always like that myth, that Pokemon that you had no idea existed, and you basically had to use an action replay if you ever wanted to get it in Diamond, Pearl, or Platinum. Obviously, we got Legends Arceus later on, which I was so unbelievably pumped for. I thought we were going to get a new form of Arceus. We never got that. You could have given us a Mega form or like a Primal form or something. Like, come on, Game Freak. It's Arceus. But granted, Arceus is supposed to represent God, and I guess God is technically perfect, and why would God ever revert back to a different form, you know? But you could have done like a Dragon Ball, like, buffed up form, if you know what I mean. Like, come on, you got Mega Rayquaza, you got Eternatus, and like, Ultra Necrozma that have better stats than you. Like, you gotta beef yourself up and get better. Come on. Either way, I'm a massive fan of Arceus. Arceus is a GOAT for me. Arceus goes ahead of Kyogre. It goes ahead of these four. It goes ahead of... Does it go ahead? No, it doesn't go ahead of Deoxys, but it's still so cool. I'm a big fan of Arceus. Arceus is such a cool Pokemon. It's going up top. With that being said, we are moving on to the Unova region. Generation 5, Pokemon Black and White, and Black and White 2. We're starting off with the mythical Pokemon Victini. Victini is one of my favorite mythical Pokemon. It's going up in my... It's going to be the top of my A tier. I love me some Victini. Victini is just... I love the design. It is absolutely adorable. Fire Psychic is such a cool typing. Everything about Victini is just... I think it's wonderful. I'm a big Victini fan. I don't really know if I have much else to say. I loved using it because I actually did get to use the mystery gift in Pokemon Black and White when it originally came out. So you get to go visit, I think, Liberty Garden or whatever garden it's called that you go pick them up, pick it up at. It's cool. It's got V-Create. V-Create's such a cool move. I think he's a cool little fella, and I'm a fan of little dudes, you know. And he's a cool little dude. His shiny is super clean. Like, he's got a really clean shiny design. Give me Victini in that A tier. Up next, we have the Swords of Justice, and we're starting it off with Cobalion, the leader of the group. Cobalion's pretty sick. I used this man in a Nuzlocke like years ago, and it carried for me because I was still very new to Nuzlocke, so I decided to use legendaries. I don't really use legendaries all that often anymore, but Cobalion is pretty cool. So it's very solid for me. It is very solid. It goes right ahead of Raikou. Terrakion is up next, and Terrakion's alright. He's not steel type, and that's a little bit of a shame for him. His shiny is really cool though, but he's kind of just mid. He's kind of just mid for me, you know? So same with Virizion, Verizon Wireless. Swords of Justice never really did it all that much for me. They're fine, but they're just kind of meh. And same goes for the Genies. I don't really have a lot to say about the Genies because I never really used them. My favorite of the bunch was probably Landers, but again, like, I never actually used Landers in the game. I always watched them competitively, and even then, I got to a point where even I was upset with, like, Lando. That being said, I'm still going to put Lando in my solid tier. It's going to be at the very bottom of it, I think, and then I'm just going to put the other Genies just at mid tier, because it just kind of... Actually, this thing, I don't really like this bird-looking dude. Like, both of these bird dudes were not my favorite. I'm putting the other Genies at the mid. I'm putting them below average. I'm just not a Genie person. I thought the Genies could have been way cooler. They just never did it for me, you know. They just never did it for me. I don't really have much to say about them. Like, I did use Tornadus, I did use Thundurus, but I don't know, just never really had all that much fun with them. But with that being said, we shall move on to the box cover legendaries of Pokemon Black and White. The Pokemon that I think, what is it? This one is Truth, and the other one, Zekrom, is Ideals. Let me fact check myself on this real quick. I believe Reshiram is the Truth Pokemon. It appears in Legend, yes, Legendary Pokemon. It helps those who want to build a world of truth, yes. It was a part of the original dragon alongside its counterpart Kyurem. I guess I should say counterpart Zekrom, and then their counterpart Kyurem. I still want to know what the legendary dragon looks like. I want to get a Legends Kyurem so badly, so we can figure out what that allure of what the original dragon is just so cool to me. Well, we'll talk about that later. For now, we got to talk about Reshiram, and Reshiram is so cool. I like me some Reshiram. It goes up to I think it is the very top of the... I'll put it in the amazing tier, actually. I'm a big fan. Reshiram is super cool. I'm a big fan of the Dragon Fire type. I love its move. Oh, what is the move called? It is Fusion Flare. Fusion Flare. Fusion Flare to me is just so sick. It just, when you see it in the game where it has this massive fireball and just wha-bam! I thought that was sick. I thought the cutscenes in Black and White where they show off both the legendary dragons are so cool. Where you know, if I played Pokemon White growing up, so I actually got to use Zekrom more. But Reshiram, when you first see him inside the, I think, Dragon Spiral Tower, and he just shows up and just whoosh, or maybe that's in N's castle or Team Plasma's castle, but he just, oh my gosh, seeing the fire just irradiate from his tail, such a cool cutscene. Reshiram is such a good design. I'm a big fan of Reshiram. It's going to my amazing tier. But up next, we have its counterpart, the Pokemon that appears to the hero that seeks ideals, Zekrom, the Dragon Electric type Pokemon. And this thing is so cool. Oh my god. I don't know if you've ever seen it shiny. It is a little misleading because it's shiny, I think, just changes the eye color a little bit. But actually, if you ever see it, because Black and White does the little animated, like they move, you know, the sprites move. His tail glows green. It's like he has venom coursing through his veins, like he's Bane from Batman. Either way, what is it? Fusion Bolt, I believe, is his signature move, and then I think he also has Fusion Strike or Bolt Strike. Either way, his signature moves are so cool. Zekrom is one of my favorites of all time. It goes right ahead of Deoxys for me. I am such a massive fan of Zekrom. Zekrom is just, oh, it is so cool. He's a lot more on the attacking side. His typing's so cool. He was so much fun to use in Pokemon Black and White. I am just a massive fan of Zekrom. It is one of my favorites. He is one of my favorite legendaries. I think he does go right behind Rayquaza. Like, I think he's my number 5. I'm pretty sure Zekrom would be my 5. I'm a big fan. I think that might actually be a wrap for the GOAT tier too. I don't think we're gonna add any more to the GOAT tier. But with that being said, we are moving on to Kyurem. And Kyurem is, I think he's pretty cool. He's basically the husk, the leftover parts of the original dragon. And he was alright. Like, when you find him in the giant chasm, I was like, it's kind of cool. Like, his design's pretty slick. He's pretty cool looking. Obviously, Black and White 2 comes out, and he becomes a lot cooler because Team Plasma took this man, and they used his powers to absolutely decimate a city that I can't remember. I can't remember the name of the city. Upaliscid City? I could also be thinking of a city from a different game, but regardless, I'm a big fan of Kyurem. Kyurem's pretty solid. He's pretty solid. I'll go, he gets right above Regice. Whereas Kyurem White is, I think it's the better of the 3. I think this is the one that got banned and had to go up to Ubers. Kyurem White is not the one that I ever used. I didn't use it all too often. I thought it was still really cool because I was a big sucker for the DNA splicers that spliced them together. I think Kyurem White is pretty sick. I like him just a little bit more than Kyurem, whereas Kyurem Black was always my favorite of the bunch. He's going in the A tier. His shiny is so cool. I'm gonna put him ahead of. I'll put him right there, right at. No, he's not Regirock. I'll put him right behind Regirock. He's cool. He's really cool. I like Kyurem Black a lot. I like his shiny. He's not as good, and for I have no idea why he does not learn Ice Punch. Like, what are we doing, Pokemon? What are we doing, Game Freak? This dude has an Ice Hand. He has an Ice Hand. You know what can learn Ice Punch? Ghastly. What hand does Ghastly have? Wooper? Wooper doesn't even have hands. But this dude, Kyurem Black, who has an actual ice fist, cannot learn Ice Punch. Are you kidding me? What are we doing? Either way, he's super cool. I'm a big fan. I think his signature move is like Free Shock. He's just cool. He's just so cool. I loved using him. I just decimated the Unova region with him in post game. So, Kyurem Black, super cool. DNA Splicers I always thought was such a cool gimmick. And then I think we got a fan-made game called Pokemon Infinite Fusions that basically took that mechanic and you're allowed to fuse every single Pokemon, which is so cool. At some point I'll play that game because I've seen a couple of the fusions and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I have to try this out at some point. Either way, we must go on, and we are going to Keldeo, the fourth of the Swords of Justice. I do not like Keldeo. Get this thing out of my face. I don't want anything to do with Keldeo. This thing is absolutely just no. Just no. No, I'm sorry, bud. I am sorry. That's all I gotta say. I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan of Keldeo. We're gonna move on anyways to Meloetta. Meloetta is alright. Like, it's pretty mid for me. Like, it doesn't really do anything for me, if I'm being honest. Both forms are fine. I think it's based off of like Hatsune Miku, which is I don't mind Hatsune Miku. Honestly, I probably prefer Hatsune Miku to this thing. Meloetta is just meh, you know? It's just mid. Like, I also have to say, I've never heard of a single Hatsune Miku song in my entire life. I just know that I think that's what it's based off of. I want to say, I could be wrong on that. You should definitely fact check me on that one. I think that's what it's supposed to be based off of. I could just also be wrong. So, Meloetta is just mid. I don't really have much to say. It's like a normal psychic, and it could be like a fighting psychic, I think, in its pirouette form. It's just mid. It's just mid. I still like him more than Celebi, but I'm gonna put. Sorry, Celebi, you're going down in my below average tier, but it's just mid. It's just mid. Up next, though, we have a pretty solid one in Genesect. Genesect will go. We'll put you right ahead of Speed Form Deoxys. Genesect, I always like the idea of. I've only ever gotten to use it once in a randomizer. It's kind of sick. It's basically, I think, a old ancient Pokemon that Team Plasma experimented on and then turned into like a genetic weapon. It's pretty cool. It's got a cool ability and download. I think the Bug Steel type is pretty sick. It's not Fortress cool, but like he's still pretty cool. So you know what? I don't really have much to say. His design's pretty slick. I love the purple color, and his shiny's pretty cool too. But yeah, it's just pretty solid. He's a pretty solid Pokemon. I remember having fun using him. So up next, we are moving on to the Kalos region. To Pokemon X and Y, and we are starting off with Xerneas. I believe he's not the first ever fairy type technically, but it might be the first ever designed fairy. Either way, Xerneas is super cool. It is the life Pokemon. The Tree of Life is basically just a tree when you discover it in the Team Flare like laboratory or whatever. Super good attack and special attack. It's got really solid HP. Big thing about Xerneas is that it learns the move. Well, for one, it's a fairy type. But two, it learns the move Geomancy, which if you play, is it a white herb? Whatever herb, power herb or white herb, that basically allows you to have a 2-turn move go into a 1-turn move. I think it raises the special attack, and I want to say speed. We shall see real quick. Let me read it. Oh my god. Okay, on the second turn, it raises special attack, special defense, and speed by 2 stages. Jeez, that is broken. That is broken if you apply the herb to it, and it's just a menace. This thing is an absolute menace. I love the design of Xerneas. I think Xerneas is a really clean design. I love the blue on Xerneas. Xerneas gets to go right next to Victini. I'm a big Xerneas fan. I think Xerneas is super cool. But up next is the one that I ended up actually choosing. I was Pokemon Y originally. Yveltal, the destruction Pokemon, I want to say. Let me fact check myself on that super quickly. Yveltal is the destruction Pokemon. Basically, I think if this thing dies, every single Pokemon gets I think at the world? I don't know if it's the world or if it's the land. Basically everything. When this legendary Pokemon's wings and tail feathers spread wide and glow red, it absorbs the life force of living creatures. Alright? When its life comes to an end, it absorbs the life energy of every living thing and turns into a cocoon once more. Good lord. So this thing basically wipes out the world if it ever dies. That is insane. I thought the Bacon Bird design was super cool. Dark and flying I thought was always cool. It had the move Oblivion Wing, which I always thought was super sick. I loved using Yveltal. Yveltal is at the very top of my A tier. This thing is so cool, man. The design on it is just so cool. I'm a big Yveltal guy. Yveltal is a very fun Pokemon, and it's just going to be at the top of the list, you know? not at the top of the list. It's gonna be top of the A tier. Yveltal, the Bacon Bird. He does it for me. Up next, we have Zygarde and the various forms. Dog form is just, I don't care about you. The perfection, the beast form, the big man. I mean, solid. He's pretty solid. I'm gonna put him right behind Regice. Normal form Zygarde is also pretty solid. Like, just I'd rather have a Garchomp if I'm being honest, because he's what, dragon and ground. I never watched the X and Y anime, so maybe I'd like him more because I think they had like the tiny cell form that traveled along with the group or something. I don't know, it just never did it for me. Like Zygarde compared to the other two, I like the other two a lot more. In fact, I think I would put Xerneas right behind Yveltal. But I'm a big fan of Xerneas and Yveltal. Zygarde, if there was a Pokemon Z that came out, I might have actually liked him much more because he was kind of cool. Like when you find him in Terminus Cave, I think, I was like, oh, this thing is super sick looking. Like, he wasn't my favorite design of the three, but he's super sick. And if we got a game revolved around like the big beefy form, I probably would like it a lot better. I just don't, because, you know, you got the big beefy form in Sun and Moon because they realized they didn't do enough with him. And so they put him in Sun and Moon so you can find all the cells or whatever so you can create him. And I never did. I don't know. He didn't do it for me. If I'm being honest, he's still really solid. Like, I still like him. It just didn't. He could have been so much better. He could have been so much better, is what I'm saying. Up next, we have Diancie. And I'm not too familiar with Diancie. I know it's Rock and Fairy, and I'm pretty sure it's super good defense, super good special defense, and obviously it can mega evolve. Diancie's like, it's got the move, I think, Diamond Storm, which is a really cool move. Overall, I thought it was fine. Like, it's kind of mid. Like, I'd probably prefer most of these things over it, but I prefer over Celebi. Mega Diancie's just like a big chandelier looking thing. I'm probably just mid for me. Whereas the other guy, the other mythical, Hoopa. Original form Hoopa is really mid for me, but Hoopa Unbound is an absolute beast. I love me some Hoopa Unbound. It goes right behind Darkrai. Hoopa Unbound is sick. It is absolutely sick. I'm a big fan of Hoopa Unbound. This dude can just open up these little wormholes, and he just commands an absolute army of legendary Pokemon. His Genie dude, his attack and special attack are through the roof. This guy is cool. I think he has the move, what is it called? Hyperspace Hole. It is just a sick looking move. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Hoopa. I like me some Hoopa. Hoopa's going to go in the A tier. I don't have too much to say because I've never really gotten to use Hoopa Unbound, except maybe like one time ever. It's just cool. I think he's just really cool. And then, of course, we have Volcanion. Volcanion just never did it for me. The typing is super sick. It's just, everything about him just never really clicked with me, you know? He just never really clicked. It just never really clicked for me. You get to be at the top of the below average, but I don't know. It just didn't click for me. So, up next, we're going to the Alola region, and we're kicking it off with Fake Arceus, the failed attempt at creating Arceus at replicating God, Type Null. And Type Null's kind of sick, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw Gladion pull up with this thing, I said, what in the world is that? And he was like, you go get him, my buddy, Type Null. And Type Null I think he has a pretty cool design. I think he's pretty slick. Got some pretty solid stats overall. I think he can change his typing. I don't know if he can change Type Null's. He can change Silvali's typing. Type Null himself, thought he's pretty solid. You know? Like, I think his design is really cool. So, I'm going to put him right ahead of Genesect. Type Null was pretty cool. Silvally, on the other hand, it's obviously better. Like, I think the only difference in Silvally and Type Null is that Silvally just has a better speed stat. I think they have the exact same stats except for speed. Type Null was slower, and also I think Silvally can change typings. I think it changed to whatever type it wants to. Maybe they both can. I don't remember. All I know is that they were with the Edgelord themselves, Gladion. I like Type Null. I thought Type Null. I think they're about the same, honestly. I think Type Null had just a little bit of a cooler design, but it just kind of meh. I shouldn't say meh. They're better than meh. They're better than mid. I like them. They're really solid, you know? But I think that's a good little spot for them. Up next, we have the Guardians. the Tapus. And I think we're starting off with Tapu Koko, the electric one. Originally I wasn't like the biggest fan of the Tapus. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like these guys as much. And then I ended up actually liking them throughout the story. I thought they were kind of cool. I love the fact that they're basically what, island guardians, I think is what they are. Let's see, what do we call it? The land spirit. Interesting. That is interesting. Either way, he's a guardian deity. Tapu Koko, I think, was my favorite of the bunch. I'm a big Tapu Koko fan. Tapu Koko was sick. He was cool in the anime. At least the final battle you got to see between Professor Kukui and Ash in the championship fight. Tapu Koko, he's gonna go in he barely squeaks into my A tier. I love the electric fairy typing. I think he's really sick. I remember watching a lot of Pokemon Sun and Moon, like, I guess Wi-Fi battles, and anytime any of the Tapus were used a lot, I just thought they were really cool. I especially like Tapu Koko. I think this is Tapu Lele next. The fairy, the psychic fairy one. Tapu Lele was alright. I love that they also had their own surges, like their own little battle fields or whatever. Tapu Lele was pretty solid. Like I say pretty solid. It was kind of mid for me, I'm not gonna lie, because I definitely prefer Regigigas. It goes right there, right ahead of Zapdos. Bulu gets to be right at the very end, and then Tapu Fini, I put right next to Lele. They're alright, you know. Tapu Koko was easily my favorite. The others were just, I'm gonna put Bulu next to the other three, honestly. The others are fine, you know. Like, I don't mind it this way. I just really like Tapu Koko. So, again, as we get to the later generations, you're probably gonna find me having less and less descriptions, because a lot of these I never really got to interact with. Plus, the later gens I don't know as well as the earlier gens, but we're trying. Up next, we have Nebby. I think Cosmog is the name. I always refer to this thing as Nebby. I actually thought its name was Nebby. So, Cosmog is kind of, I mean, he doesn't really do anything. He, when does he evolve? Like level 42, I think? The Cosmoem. Either way, both of them aren't, like, I mean, I like Nebby. I have a personal attachment to Nebby because of the story. Besides that, I would absolutely want nothing to do with Nebby, but the design reminds me of a Mario character, and therefore, Nebby was solid. I like Nebby. Cosmoem does nothing for me, but they're not the star of the show. The stars of the show are the box cover legendaries Solgaleo and Lunala. Psychic and Steel type is pretty sick. I thought Solgaleo should have been a fire type because, you know, Moon? Or not Moon. Sun? You know, this big giant fireball in space? Come on, what are we doing? He should have been a fire type. Fire Steel, Fire Psychic. He's kind of mid. Like, Solgaleo is kind of mid to me, whereas Lunala, on the other hand, I am a huge Lunala fan. Lunala is so cool. Actually, I'm going to put Lunala in my GOAT tier. I might change that around, but I prefer Lunala to... I think I prefer Lunala. Oh my goodness, I really like Lunala. Yeah, I put it ahead of... Would I put it ahead of God? Would I put Lunala ahead of God? I don't know. I'm going to put God ahead of Lunala for now, but I might change that because I'm a really big Lunala fan. I love Lunala. That psychic ghost type. Sure, a dark type absolutely ruins your life. And yeah, dark types are pretty prevalent in Sun and Moon, but it is so cool. That Moongeist Beam, I think, is its signature move. I want to say it's a signature move. Let's see. We got Moon Blast. I've not seen a Moongeist Beam. Maybe I'm making that up. Let me check the Generation 7 moveset instead of the Scarlet and Violet moveset. Because maybe Scarlet and Violet doesn't have it. We got... Moongeist Beam. Yes, I wasn't crazy. Cool. That makes me feel good. Yeah, Moongeist Beam is such a cool move. I think it got its own Z move and Ultra Sun and Ultra Move, which is even cooler. I love this thing. It is just so cool. Up next, we have Necrozma. Necrozma's kind of sick. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of a fan of Necrozma. The original design I thought was really cool. He's not a GOAT, but I really like the design of him. I think he's the Prism Pokemon. I think that's what he is. Oh, good lord. It's Jupe. Sorry, Ultra Beasts. You're a different video. Where's the man? Where is he? I probably blew past him. I blew way past. Let's just type the name in. Necrozma. So I want to check out what is the Prism Pokemon. Yes. Yeah, I like Necrozma. He's just straight up Psychic type. I mean, Necrozma on its own isn't, I don't know if it's like the greatest, but his design is super cool. I always loved his design. I thought he was super clean. His Prismatic Laser move and Photon Geyser are super cool moves. And then, of course, you know, he attaches himself to Solgaleo and Lunala. You get the Dusk Mane and Dusk whatever forms. And I thought those were fine. The only thing is that I never really grew too attached to them, and the big reason why I never grew attached to Dusk Mane or Dusk Wings is that, I mean, you didn't really deal with them all that often, you know? You didn't really get to deal with those too much. So again, I'm just gonna put right next to here, and Dusk Wings form, I guess it was solid just because I like Lunala better, you know? Like, they're all right, you know. Let me see if it really buffed up Lunala first of all, because I don't know if it really did. Let's take a look at Lunala real quick. I just want to compare. So I'm looking at 680 and 680. So I think maybe their stats changed in different areas. Yeah, okay, so it gained a lot more special attack and lost some attack. That would make sense, at least. I'm fine with that. That's kind of sick. But either way, they're not the stars of the show. The star of the show is Ultra Necrozma, this absolute unit. And I mean unit. What is this, a Psychic Dragon type? The Light That Burns the Sky is the coolest move, might actually be the coolest move in the entire franchise. I mean, I'm personally biased to taking Roar Time every single time, but the Light That Burns the Sky is unbelievably cool. I've seen the video of this thing. I've done it. I have done it to a poor Wingull. It is so funny. This thing is an absolute menace. Fighting this thing, because when I tried Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, the very first time I ever played it, I decided to Nuzlocke it. And I was not. I had to quit the Nuzlocke because I just died. I just lost to Ultra Necrozma. It just wiped the floor with me, and I said, well, I'm just going to finish the game. You know, why wouldn't I? So I've never beaten an Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon Nuzlocke. Granted, I've only ever played the games once. So, but Ultra Necrozma, man, this thing is the definition of a final boss. It is awesome. It goes in my GOAT tier. I'd put it ahead of, yeah, I'd put it right next to Lunala. It is so cool. It is so cool. It has one of the coolest themes. It has one of my favorite themes, I think, in the entire franchise. Ultra Necrozma's theme is so sick. It is just unbelievably cool. I'm such a big fan. Ultra Necrozma is so cool, and its moveset is just sick. The fact that I ran into a boss that just wiped the floor with me in Pokemon. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, they're tough games. Like, they're a lot tougher than I think. I also turned off the experience share, but like, man, are they tough games. If you don't use experience share, you don't over level, if you're like properly leveled, you're gonna get your butt whooped. You're gonna get your butt whooped in that game, and I did. Ultra Necrozma ended my entire existence, but I loved it. I thought it was so cool. So I'm putting Ultra Necrozma up pretty high. Up next, we have Magearna, and I've never really used Magearna ever because it's like a mythical Pokemon. I just never bothered with whatever event. Steel Fairy typings are pretty cool. I like the typing. The design is kind of sick. The shiny's really cool. I think it has the move, was it Flower Cannon or whatever? It's like a fairy type that does 130 damage. Kind of sick. That being said, it's just kind of mid, you know? It's kind of mid. Marshadow is pretty cool. I don't know much about the little man, but I like his design. It's just solid enough. Zeraora, I think, was kind of mid for me. I'll put it right next to Zapdos. I like Lil Melton. This is a little fella. He's a little fella. I like him. And then Melmetal. I always liked Melmetal. Melmetal I always thought had a really clean design. I've never used a Melmetal, but I think Ash had it in Sun and Moon, which I never really watched too much of. Just on design alone, I'll put him in the solid tier. Plus he's Steel type. I love Steel types. Gigantamax Melmetal, I've never ever seen you do anything ever. I don't even know if anyone ever has gotten one. So I'm just gonna put you in the absolute worst. I have no need for you. So with that being said, we're going to move on to Generation 8. Sword and Shield. The dogs. The new dogs, I should say. Zacian, whatever form. I don't know what this form is called. The lackluster form? Let me look it up real quick. What is his form? Hero of Many Battles form. Ah, yes. The Hero of Many Battles form. I don't care. Same with Zamazenta. You could just sit here. You can sit here. I don't care. I care about your Crown Sword form, and this thing's alright. Like, it's pretty solid. Zamazenta is like mid. Like, I don't care about the shield, but the sword guy, like he's what, Steel Fairy? Sick typing. I maybe used this thing like 3 times in battle, and it was awesome all 3 times I used it in battle. I like the idea of just a wolf carrying a sword in its mouth at all times. I think that is a hilarious idea. So therefore, I am going to put you. You get to go right. You get to go right behind the Lotties. You're pretty solid, Zacian. I really don't care about Zamazenta though. I have no need for that sword dude or that shield guy. But some Pokemon that I do care about is the one that wasn't really talked about. The one that they didn't really, at least in any trailers or any leaks or anything. Actually, I didn't really leak the game to myself. So, Eternatus was an absolute surprise to me. When they kept talking about whatever Darkest Day thing throughout the story, I was like, I don't really care. So you fight Chairman Rose, and he's like, I have awakened the Pokemon Eternatus. I was like, what? What is an Eternatus? I thought Sword Dog and Shield Dog were the big legendaries. What is an Eternatus? This ended up being like the big legendary of the game. And you walk out on top of what Chairman Rose is building or wherever place you're at, and this just absolute unit is waiting for you. I was perplexed as to what typing Eternatus is. I think it's Dragon and Poison? Dragon Poison type. It is. It had like Flamethrower, it had Cross Poison, I think. It had, obviously, had Dynamax Cannon, which is such a cool move. This thing was a unit. Dragon Pulse. The one thing that I dislike about Eternatus is that the one Nuzlocke I did, a Sword and Shield, he only targeted me. That wasn't cool. I lost 2 Pokemon in that entire Nuzlocke, and that was during the battle against Gigantamax Eternatus, the Massive Hand. Eternamax. This thing has like the greatest stat line in the entire franchise, I think. Either way, Eternatus itself is so cool. I love Eternatus' design. You'll get to go right in front of Hoopa, I think. I like Lugia a little bit more, but Eternatus... do I? Do I, though? Because Eternatus is sick. Like, Eternatus is really cool. The hand is alright. Like, I'm not... It's kind of mid. Like, I don't even really care about a giant hand. I'll put the giant hand right next to Solgaleo. But Eternatus itself is such a cool design. Lugia, it's been so long since I played Soul Silver, so I might end up changing my opinions later, which this is all going to change for a year from now, obviously. I'm going to put him right behind Victini. I'm a big Eternatus enjoyer. Eternatus is pretty sick. Up next, we have all of the DLC Pokemon that I never used. So this, I will say, from here on out until we get to Scarlet and Violet, it's just based off of purely design and what I have seen from like competitive Pokemon play and other things. So we're going to Kubfu, and Kubfu is one that I actually did get to use because I did do a little bit of the Isle of Armor I think it's the DLC's name. I like the little guy. He's the little fella. He's pretty solid in my book. Urshifu I also thought was pretty sick. I don't know what the forms of Urshifu are, but I always enjoy watching him being used competitively. He's very broken. But either way, I'm just gonna put both of them here. I think one's a water type, one's a dark type. They're all fighting types. They're just gonna be at the very bottom and pretty solid. Zarude, this is a monkey, and as a monkey, you just get to automatically go in the solid tier. I like you because monkey. And, you know, Zarude Sandstorm. So you get to go right ahead of Zygarde. Good for you. Regieleki, I thought was super sick. The fact that they came out with a new Reggie is just insane to me. But Regieleki, oh, I'm going to put it right behind Galarian. No, I'm going to put it in front of Galarian Zapdos. This thing, I would love Regieleki. I'd love Regidrago, because I just love the Reggies. And at some point, I will play the Frozen Tundra or whatever it's called, and I will interact with these two beasts, and I will love it. Up next, I think this thing is called Glacier? Let me check. This is called Glastrier. Kind of a cool horse, you know? It's a pretty cool horse. It's pretty solid. This other one is called Spectrier. What is this, a ghost type? I think it's pretty solid. Looks pretty cool. I like the design. Calyrex, I could care less about. This man is mid, as he's not even mid. You know what? You get to go. You get to go right here. You get to go right next to the dogs, because I don't really care. You're riding the horse? Mid. It's mid to me. I don't care. Maybe I'll care if I ever play the game. Maybe I'll care if I ever play the DLC. I don't like the design. Big Brain Man just reminds me of Mandark from Dexter's Laboratory, and I dislike Mandark with a passion. So we're going to move on to Enamorus, something that was introduced in Legends Arceus, the fourth genie of the group, and I dislike this thing with a passion. I do not like it. I do not like it. It annoyed the crap out of me when I was trying to catch it in Legends Arceus, and therefore, I mean, if I ever used it, I probably would actually like it a lot more. But it annoyed me. So therefore, you caused me to spend like 10 minutes more on trying to catch you than I would have liked. So, how dare you? Enamorus is fine. Like, I don't know. The design is meh. Like, I like the other genie designs more, but I didn't really like the genies all that much to begin with. It's just meh. It's just meh. Maybe if I use it, I'll like it. It's just meh. You know, I don't really have much to say about Enamorus besides it is just the most meh thing I have seen. So, with that being said, we are going on to the final region, Generation 9 Paldea, and we're starting with what are they called? The Beads of Ruin, or the whatever of Ruin, and we're starting off with Wo Chien. What a Wo Chien moment this is. I believe a dark grass little slug dude. I first encountered Tinglu out of the four because I really like Scarlet and Violet. They're some of my favorite games of the franchise. Of course I had to go find Wo Chien and Chien Pao and Tinglu and the fish guy that's name is eluding me right now. But Wo Chien I thought was really funny when I saw him, and then all of the memes about him just made me like him even more. So you get to go at the very top of mid. You're not that good. I'm not a big Wo Chien fan. But his theme absolutely is, it's a rockin' theme. You know what? Wo Chien moment is good enough to go in pretty solid. You get to go ahead of the bear. You get to go ahead of the bear. Not Kubfu. I like Kubfu. Kubfu gets to go all the way up here. He's just a little fella. On design alone, he's just a little dude, and I like him. Wo Chien, good for you. Chien Pao, on the other hand, is super clean. Oh, this design is super clean. Dark and Ice is such a cool typing. I love watching him in anything competitive. I'm gonna put this thing. This is an amazing Pokemon. It is awesome. Like, what does it have? Ice Spinner. Not a go. You're not a go, but you're really cool. You get to go right next to Registeel. You get to go right next to Tapu Koko. You get to be ahead of Tapu Koko. Chien Pao might be my favorite of the bunch, although we do have Tinglu. And Tinglu, I love Tinglu's design too. I don't know if Tinglu's all that great compared to the other three. I think the best one is the fish. The best one's Chien Pao. But Tinglu, I love his little name. He's a pretty solid dude, you know. He's out here trying his hardest. You get to go right behind Regice. I'm a big Tinglu. He was the first one I ever got to encounter of the four, and this is the one I associate the song with the most. He also gets to learn Fissure, which is kind of sick. But Tinglu, I'm a fan. And then we have the goldfish that I never bothered learning the name of, Chiyu. Yes, Chiyu, the fire goldfish. This thing's pretty sick. You know, this little dude. His shiny is super clean. Super clean shiny. You're pretty solid. I'll put you right next to Marshadow. That feels like a good little spot for you. So, up next is our box art legendaries. And we're going to start off with Koraidon. Koraidon has quite possibly one of the best shinies. That is locked, unfortunately, but one of the best shinies in the entire franchise. Woof! It is a clean, and I mean a clean shiny. I will say, I play Pokemon Violet. I've never played Pokemon Scarlet, but Koraidon I know I absolutely love. I think he's what? He's a dragon fighting type, if I remember correctly. Either way, he's basically the exact same as Miraidon. I mean, obviously they play differently, but if I already experienced Pokemon Scarlet, I'd like Koraidon. I like the Sandwich Mans. You get to go up top. Same with Miraidon. Miraidon I like more because I actually got to use Miraidon. I just love the Sandwich Boys, you know? They eat the sandwich, and I'm like, you know what? I like you. I like that. I give you sandwich, and you just get better. So I enjoy that. Because they're bikes, I thought that was even funnier. Although Koraidon's really weird because he's not like, I don't know. There's something about him that just looked a little awkward to me. Whereas, you know, Miraidon was an actual bike. He's cool. He's like a Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's bike. It's like using Jack Atlas's bike compared to Yusei Fudo's bike, you know? Yusei's got the trash satellite bike, whereas Jack's got the elite, like, cool New Domino City bike, and that's what Miraidon is. And I played Violet, so I got to personally enjoy Miraidon more. And because of that, Miraidon gets to go right next to Lunala, or gets to go right behind Ultra Necrozma. I liked Scarlet and Violet. I enjoyed those games a lot. They're some of my favorite games. I grew the personal attachment to Miraidon. I would probably have the exact same feelings of Koraidon, but I don't because I didn't play that one. But Miraidon, he's pretty clean. You know, Electric Dragon, we're going back to that same typing again with Zekrom. You're not as cool as Zekrom, but you're still pretty cool. And I like the man. I like the little dude, you know? I kind of want to put him ahead of Lunala, but I'm not going to because I think I like Lunala. No, I don't. I like him more. I like him more than God? I like this, but he's God. Arceus is so cool though. Like Arceus can cast Judgment, but Sandwich. I mean Sandwich though, you know, just a sandwich guy. He's just a little Sammy man. He likes his Sammys. He likes you, Sammy. I'm sorry, God, but you're not eating sandwiches like Miraidon is. Like, come on. Come on, I love Miraidon. I love his little move. I love using him. I love riding around on him in the game. As long as the frame rate doesn't absolutely tank. Anytime you go to whatever lake area, frame rate is really bad. But Parabolic Charge, super cool move. He's fun to use. I grew an attachment to this dude. I grew an attachment to him, so I like him. I really like him. Up next is the DLC Legends that I don't know anything about. So, bear with me because I've never played the DLC. Walking Wake, which is basically Ancient Suicune, I think is such a clean design. I think it's a water dragon type. I think it has its own. Does it have its own move? Let me check its move set because I've seen some usage of Walking Wake. It has Hydro Steam. Yes, Hydro Steam is a cool move. It's basically Scald, I think, but better? Maybe? I don't know. Either way, Walking Wake is really clean. I'm going to put him ahead of Suicune, because I think if I actually used Walking Wake, I would love this thing, and I like its design more than Suicune. It is so clean. Like, it is unbelievably clean. Same with Iron Leaves. I actually really liked Iron Leaves' design. I like Iron Leaves so much more than I like Virizion. No offense to Virizion lovers. But man, this thing's like a grass psychic type. This thing looks so cool. I thought it was really cool. I would love to use this thing. Iron Leaves just looked so clean. I'm going to put you right at the bottom. Actually, no, I'm going to put you right. I'll put you right behind Heatran, because I think I like Heatran a little bit more. But man, I feel like if I use this thing, I would absolutely love it. I really mean that. Iron Leaves looks so cool. Up next, we have the trio, the bad trio guys. I did watch somebody at some point play the story of whatever the first DLC bit was called that I don't remember the name of. But this is my guy, Okidogi. Yeah, I had no care for Okidogi. And Monkey Dory is an absolute Oh, this man, I feel like is a shame to monkeys everywhere. But also he's a monkey, so you at least get to go below average. Pheasantipity, though, I thought was kind of clean. I'm not gonna lie. Pheasantipity, I thought was kind of clean. I think they're all poison types. Pheasantipity's like Poison Fairy. Monkey Dory's like Poison Psychic. And then Okidogi's like Poison Fighting. Maybe, I don't remember. But Pheasantipity was my favorite of the bunch. I thought the design looked really clean. To be honest, I would probably put you right there. That feels like a good spot. If I ever used a Pheasantipity, like that's the one I'd use of the three. It looks pretty cool. Up next, we have Ogerpon. And I guess, I don't know if I'm going to rank. I think I'm just going to put all of them in the exact same part. Ogerpon, I liked it. I liked Ogerpon. The thing was I liked the design. It was kind of adorable. It's just a little dude, you know? Ogerpon's just a little dude trying his hardest, and he was getting unfairly picked on by these absolute bullies, brutes that are just, get out of here. You know what, Monkey Dory? Screw you. Screw you. Pheasantipity's cool. But screw you. Poor Ogerpon getting bullied by those jerks. I like Ogerpon. Ogerpon's it's a nice little design. There's so many solid Pokemon. Jesus. I'm gonna put you. I'll put you right. I'll put you right in front of Marshadow. I'll put you right there, and then all of your forms can go there. I'll just put them here real quick. It's gonna take a little bit to get there. There we go. This is you got the move Ivy Cudgel, and I keep seeing you in every competitive VGC tournament that I watch every single week now. And you know what? I have never seen the Rock type. Everyone never uses the Rock type, but the Water type, I think that's the one that gets the most usage. Either way, I like the design. It's just an adorable little fella, if you know what I mean. Up next, we have, what is this? Gouging Fire, I think? Yes, Gouging Fire. Ancient Entei, Fire Dragon type. This thing is clean. Like, this thing is so clean. I think its design is clean. I'm gonna put you, where did I put Original Entei? Original Entei? I think this thing is cooler than Original Entei, if I'm being honest. Do I like you more than Galarian Moltres, though? Galarian Moltres is such a clean design. I'm going to put that in Amazing. No offense to the Dragos. I'm going to put this in Amazing, too. I'm just going to put a little bit more in the Amazing. But, oh, it's so clean. It is so clean. Gouging Fire is such a clean design. And then we also have Raging Bolt. This absolute giraffe-looking man. And I find this design to be so funny. I love the design because it's I think it's goofy, and I love goofy things because it's so goofy. It's not cooler than Gouging Fire or Walking Away. Let's get that straight. But like, this thing is goofy, but I really love it. It is a goofy movie, and you're just gonna go in the Amazing tier because you gave me so much joy laughing at your design. But it's good though. I actually enjoy it though. Like, that's the thing. Up next, we have Iron Boulder, and I guess Iron Boulder is cool. I don't know, like, it's kind of meh. Like, it's Rock Psychic. It's just, it does, I will say, in the actual game itself, because I'm not looking at the actual in-game sprite, I'm looking at like a, what is this, we are looking at the Pokemon database sprite that they have. It doesn't look the greatest as the sprite form, but it looked better when I actually saw it in the game. Either way, it's just kind of mid. Like, you know, I don't have an opinion to or from or whatever. And then there's also Iron Crown, which I think also looked cooler, but can't, like I said, I don't have like a really good, like, vivid image in my mind, so I'm just gonna put you at mid. Iron Leaves was freaking dope. I think Iron Leaves looked the coolest of the bunch. Either way, I don't know. I'm just gonna put it in mid. Up next, we have Terapagos, and I like this little dude. I like this little fella. I like all forms of Terapagos. I ended up getting to watch, I did watch the ending to see the Stellar form. I like the gimmick. I like the whole Indigo Disc gimmick. It's just a little adorable fella, you know? I think I would really like Terapagos. If I ever decided I wanted to buy the DLC, which I might down the line at some point. Either way, I'm just going to put them all at the A tier. I think this thing is pretty sick. I like its gimmick. I like the gimmick. I like the design. It's just a little adorable fella, if you know. Like, it has all the designs, like, put on it. You know, look at that thing. It's sick. It's cool looking. It's cool looking. And then we're going to end it off with Pecharon, the possessed Pecha berry that turned people into like chicken things or whatever. I think it's Poison Ghost if I remember correctly. This thing, I thought it kind of grew on me because I watched a little bit of the epilogue and I thought it was kind of funny. So you know what? You get to be at the Regigigas gets to stay. Like he gets to stay at the top of mid because he's Regigigas. But you can't be there. You can't be there. No offense. No offense. You get to be right in front of. Yeah, that's fine with me. That's fine. Actually, no. I want the Tapus ahead of you though. I would prefer the Tapus be ahead of you, and I'd prefer that Zapdos be up here. Yeah, that looks fine for me. This all looks good for me. I like the list. This was a super long video, I have to say, but I gotta say, let's wait. Hold up. Let's look at our goats. We got one, because I'm gonna count this kind of as one. So one, even though I like this working for better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ooh, I'm so sorry, Coyote. You got to get bumped down. So what are we at? 12 and then 11. Sorry, Origin Form. I'll put you at the. You're not cooler. You're not cooler than. You're not cooler than the Sandwich Man. You're not cooler than any of these. You're not cooler than that. You're just not. There you go. I'll put you ahead of Hoopa Unbound. And Regirock, you get to go here. You get to go here, pal. Yeah, good for you, Regirock. Yeah, it looks good. I like that. Sorry, Regirock, because I like the shiny so much. Yeah, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, that's not technically a top 10 because this is number 1. Oh, that's a top 11. Oh, I didn't even realize that. Oh, I can't do that to Palkia, can I? Can I demote you, Palkia? No, I can't do that to Palkia. Would I demote Palkia? Do I like Palkia more than Ultra Necrozma? Because Ultra Necrozma is really fun, and Palkia is really cool though. But Ultra Necrozma, that's tough. I'm sorry, bud. I can't do. I'm sorry. I'm doing this to you. I wanted the whole trio up there. I wanted the whole trio to be top 10, but I'm sorry, pal. I'm sorry. I like that. I like that a lot. This is the full tier list. I'm probably not going to change any of this because that's too much work. But yeah, I'm fine with this. I'm fine with this. I will move you up. I was too harsh on you. I was too harsh. I prefer you over these. I prefer you. Yeah, I put you right there. I'll put you right there, Mr. Horseman. All right, yeah. I guess that wraps it up. Yeah. We'll play whatever Terapagos' music is as we're doing the wrap up here. Yeah, I think that's a good list. I'm pretty happy with that list. This is, like I said, this is an absolutely chunky, absolute chunky unit of a video to record. We're sitting at like an hour and 52 minutes. So with that being said, if you ended up enjoying today's video, thank you for watching it all. If you did, if you didn't, I don't blame you. This is way too long of a video. But thank you for watching. If you ended up enjoying today's video, please feel free to leave a like. Subscribe to the channel, it really helps your boy out, and comment down below who's your favorite legendary and or least favorite legendary Pokemon, and what do you think of the list overall? Is it absolutely garbage, or do you absolutely love it and agree with every single take? By the way, Dialga is the greatest legendary Pokemon ever created. Just have to put that out one more time. With that being said, I hope you have an absolutely phenomenal day, phenomenal rest of your week, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye-bye.